In my years of driving, I've met people from all kinds of professions: military veterans, pilots, longshoremen, teachers, mechanics, police officers, farmers, retirees from every walk of life. Trucking is one of the few professions where people from everywhere seem to end up sitting at the same truck stop counter. But there's one profession I never met: another accountant. Not one. Now, I happen to be both an accountant and a truck driver, and I suspect that's one reason this technology gap exists. Not because truckers aren't smart, far from it. Truckers solve problems all day long. Weather, traffic, equipment failures, customers, regulators, but most truckers didn't come into the industry thinking about workflows, documentation, record retention, or financial reporting. Most accountants do, and somewhere between what happens on the road and what ends up in the books, information gets lost. Part of the reason is that, from what I've seen, trucking may be one of the most scrutinized businesses a person can get involved in. Now, you may disagree, and there certainly are other highly regulated industries. Banks are heavily regulated, insurance companies are heavily regulated, airlines, healthcare, but most small business owners don't face the combination of requirement truckers deal with every day. A restaurant owner isn't tracking fuel tax agreements. An electrician isn't dealing with hours of service regulations. A plumber isn't making driver qualification files. A retail store isn't subject to roadside inspections. But trucking companies may answer to the FMCSA, IFTA, IRP, the IRS, insurance companies, customers, brokers, state agencies, roadside inspectors, and sometimes hazardous material regulations on top of all of that. Hours of service, vehicle inspections, fuel records, maintenance records, registration records, tax reporting, financial reporting. Each requirement exists for a reason. But together, they create a mountain of information. What's interesting is that all of these systems are looking at the same business from different angles. The compliance system wants to know where the truck was. The maintenance system wants to know what condition the truck was in. The tax system wants to know how the truck was operated. The accounting system wants to know where the money is going. They're all asking different questions about the same truck, on the same road, on the same day. The good news is that technology has gotten a lot better. When I first started driving, a lot of record keeping amounted to collecting paperwork and hoping you could find it later. Receipts in the visor, receipts under the bunk, receipts stuffed into permit books, maybe a folder, maybe a shoebox. We've all seen it. Today we have tools that can help bridge that gap. One of the biggest improvements is the bank feed. And from my perspective, that's where accounting begins. Every day money is moving. There are fuel purchases, tolls, insurance, maintenance, customer payments. For years, somebody had to sit down and enter all of that information by hand. Today, much of that information can flow directly from your bank account into an accounting application. And that's important because once you bring the data into an application for analysis, it starts to become something more than a list of transactions. It becomes information that can be organized, categorized, compared, and ultimately reported. That it's transformed into something useful. But the bank feed only tells part of the story. It tells us the money moved. It doesn't tell us what happened. That's where the receipt comes in. That's where the invoices come in, and the inspection reports and the mileage records. That's where all the supporting documents come in. The bank fee tells us fuel was purchased. The receipt tells us how much fuel. The odometer tells us where it happened. The inspection report tells us the condition the equipment was in. The ELD tells us that the truck was operating. Each document contributes another piece of the story. When you begin connecting those pieces together, something interesting happens. The regulatory requirements start supporting the financial requirements. And the financial requirements start supporting the operational requirements. Instead of separate piles of information, you begin building a system. And that's when the story of the big business starts to reveal itself. Not just where the money went, but why it went there. And that's really the goal. Not paperwork for paperwork's sake, or compliance for compliance sake, technology for the sake of technology. The goal is to understand the business, because once the information is organized, you can start answering better questions. How much did it cost you to run the truck? How profitable was that load? How much are you really spending on maintenance? How much are you spending per mile? Those are the questions that help a trucking business survive and grow. And that's where we're headed next. In the next video, we're going to start talking about one of the most important numbers in trucking: cost per mile. Because once you understand where the money went, you can begin to make better decisions about where you're going.